So here are 3 things that you should know about Ironman 70.3 Oceanside before competing next weekend. Let's go. Ironman 70.3 Oceanside is so early in the year, usually the first or second weekend of April. But regardless of that, it is such an amazing race, and it's every year so packed. And now that it's part of the Ironman series, you can bet the field this year is stacked. But this race is not just very popular for pro athletes, it is also very popular among amateurs. So with this video, I want to go over a few aspects that are unique to the Oceanside race and that you should know about before heading into it next weekend. So in no particular order, let's get started with it. For this 70.3 Ironman, Transition 1 and Transition 2 are actually in the exact same location. There is no point-to-point race. It is actually a full loop. So where you start in the ocean is actually right next to the finish line where you will end up on your run. And behind all that is your transition area where you will end in after your swim, leave for your bike, come back to that same transition area, and then exit for your run. So that being said, you have to set up your run gear right next to your bike. It might get a little cramped, but on the flip side, you also have access to your run gear and your transition the morning off. Aspect number 2, absolutely unique to Oceanside, is that you have to wear your race number and your belt on the bike. In 70.3 Oceanside, you enter the Marine Corps base that is in Oceanside. You are riding through the Marine Corps base, which is absolutely cool, and if you get lucky, you get to see some really cool military vehicles. A couple of years ago, we saw a big field of tanks, and last year we saw some amazing helicopters. But that being said, they are very strict on it. If you do not wear your race belt, when you're entering the Marine Corps base, they will not let you in on the bike. So make sure you put your race belt on before you leave T1. And lastly, following along on the bike portion as well is the Hill of Death. Yeah, it is a pretty serious hill. Around mile 30, you will encounter a hill, and trust me, you will know when you get there. You're riding up the road, it is relatively flat, and then around mile 30, 32, you see this giant, very steep hill that you have to climb up. This hill is absolutely killer, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to grind through. So just be sure, don't overcook yourself. Once you get to mile 30, you got a killer hill to go. After that, you have a little bit of a rolling hill, and then you got another very killer hill to go through. So again, save your legs just a little bit. And lastly, once you're done with those hills, around mile 40, you will descend back to the coast. And this is where it gets really tricky. For the descent after the hills, Ironman actually put a speed limit in place, and they are checking the speed of the bikes. Meaning it is single file only. You are not allowed to pass on that downhill, and you are not allowed to go more than 25 miles an hour. If you do so, you will be automatically disqualified from the race. There's no penalty, no nothing. Ironman does not joke around with safety in that portion. If you descend faster or pass people on... My light just went out. Or pass people on that descent, you will be disqualified. No questions asked. And then once this is all over and you're like, oh man, you just have to turn right. You got 10 more miles to go. Just straight shot to the beach and to T2. This is where the absolute grind begins. And every year it gets me. But you come down the hill, you head right, and you know from here on it's literally straight for 10 miles back to the coast. It's a headwind. Every year, without a fail, you get a massive headwind heading back to the ocean. And it's a real kicker. It's a real kicker. Oh, and just as a bonus, or to wrap it up, because it kind of felt like there wasn't much going on. I covered mostly the bike course. For the swim, straight up ocean swim, nothing too crazy about it. It is what it is. You can't control the ocean, but overall, it's a very simple course. The run course is a lot of fun. So many spectators all the way lined up on the run course. It's 2 loops, so make sure you run the whole thing twice. Sucks a little psychologically, but overall, the crowd always, they never disappoint. It's amazing. Oceanside it's a great little like ocean city. The atmosphere is amazing. Ironman puts on a really great race, and if you can, I would highly suggest stay an extra day after or before the race and have some fun. Oceanside is great. I'll see you on the next one. But that being said, those are really the three things that I think are really unique to Oceanside. It's the bike course, it's the transition area, and then it's also going through the military base for that race. I hope you take all these rules into consideration. Really pay attention on the downhill. It is so easy to go over 25 miles an hour. So just stay behind someone and don't get disqualified for something so stupid just because you went a little too fast. I hope I see you guys out there in 70.3 Oceanside next weekend, April 6th. So yeah, I hope you have an amazing race, and then next week we'll conclude how the race went.